Hello and welcome back, Transformer TCG fans. I got about less than a handful of stratagems, almost the same kind of stratagem. Let's see which ones we like best. In the meantime, I don't have any of these printed out, so let's just delve right into this. Charging full force. Charge. Optimus Prime Autobot Leader. This now, I did do one called Wolf Creek Pass, which is a one-star stratagem for the same character. Just as ATP, said that due to the Optimus Primes, they're all very strong characters. Making a stratagem seemed to be problematic and put them over the top as far as, power goes. Of course, after making 7 waves of cards, it seems like everybody seems a little powerful to me, or is it just me? Though I really don't get to play the game or print much out, much less my stuff, much less anyone else's stuff. It's just things are expensive, and time is of the essence, and time we just don't have enough of. So Charge is a one-star stratagem that's going to give Optimus Prime Autobot Leader a health of 12 and a defense of +1, so he'll have a defense of 3 on each side. It does not increase his attack, and Pierce can always get through defense, so it's going to give him more health. That's the main thing. But once per game, when Optimus Prime Autobot Leader attacks in bot mode, you may tap any or all 5-star or less characters you control and do 1 damage to an enemy character. For each character you tap, then flip over this card. So, Optimus Prime, 7-star, would have to be in bot mode. You tap him for attack. So you probably want to do this stratagem at the beginning of the game. I just threw some guys together to try to make it as wide as possible. If you went with even smaller characters, you would have even less stats on these guys. There's a major flaw to this, but I think it's interesting because then, as the stratagem says, you can tap 5 or less starred characters. Boom, do 1 damage to an enemy. Boom, do 1 damage to an enemy. It doesn't have to be all the same. So you're able to tap all your characters and get 4 at non-attack damage on the enemy. It can be on different enemies, or it can be all on one. Unfortunately, you're now tapped out. They're probably going to go, unless you had, if you were the first to go, you can't play a card. If you were the second to go, you might have been able to play, maybe get Brave on Optimus, if you even have Brave, to give him Brave. So they would have to go into Optimus and not the rest. Otherwise, they would probably go, 3 health, and we'll go after one of these guys. But at the same time, they do have a defense of 3 because they are still in alt mode. You flipped Optimus for turn to get him in bot mode to trigger the stratagem. Okay, so there's that. But it puts you completely vulnerable, and they're not tapped out yet. Depending if they're 1 tall, 2 tall, 3 tall, 4 wide, whatever. So there's that idea. That's the first one. That's Charge. The next one is Leader Charge. My phone did something funny. That was strange. Leader Charge, which is still again for the same character. 7-star SRT Optimus Prime only. Autobot Leader. 1-star stratagem makes him an 8-star again, but I took off the defense. It only does just give him +2 health. Again, after you do, going back to the first, just Charge, once you are able to tap all your characters out, if you choose to do so, you flip over the card, you lose the stats. Okay? You can get the 4 attack damage, or 3 non-attack damage, however wide you are. 4 wide, 5 wide, 6 wide. I mean, really, would you really want... Where'd she go? Little 3-star characters like that? Ha ha ha. It's the summer of Power Masters. They're coming. Anyway, so there's that. Leader Charge, in the meantime, is again for the same character, But instead of him attacking in bot mode, the trigger is when you flip Optimus Prime Autobot Leader from bot to alt mode. You may tap a character in alt mode you control and do 2 damage to an enemy character. Then flip over this card. You're going to lose it, but you're only going to be getting 2 non-attack damage. But with leader charge stratagem, Optimus doesn't have to attack to trigger this. This now is triggered by him simply flipping from bot to alt. He can already be tapped and flipping from bot to alt, thus being able to trigger, let's say, it's a character, so it's not specific to faction, it's not specific to in or star count. So now you could have somebody stronger, like say Shockwave, and they have to be in alt mode. Tap them while still in alt mode to be able to do 2 damage attack to an enemy character. You have to flip over that card, the stratagem. Boom, he goes from a health of 12 to health of 10 now. But you know, we have battle cards that can do about the same thing. But that's the thing about that. The stratagem is you can keep it. You don't have to do this, but you still have to attack with somebody if you haven't already. If it was, you know, Optimus. So you know, there's a little more room here. You're not stuck with using little piddly star card characters, 5 or less. So you know, it's something to think about. And in this way, that I think looking at the star count, you'd have 1 star left over for your deck if you wanted to go oddly this route. For number 3 is Autobots Attack. Autobots Attack, again, unless I can find a better image, it is the same image of 7-star Prime. Do not mistake that it has to be him. It's for Autobot leaders now. Because the whole idea behind the strategy, the first one, which was just simply charge, and I put it out there on Facebook, and people were like, this needs to be tested. And I'm like, well, duh, that's why I put it out there. I don't have time really to play the game much anymore. Yeah, I've lost a little weight. So now you just have to have an Autobot leader. An Autobot leader. Flip them from bot to alt mode. Because I got the idea from Earth Wars, where with the Optimus Prime, or is it Megatron, one of the sort of Decepticon leaders, when in Earth Wars you do the ability and then you hit where you want them to go. So they're all walking in bot mode, and then you do his Optimus Prime's charge ability. He looks like he's pointing, like he's yelling for him to all charge, and they go all boom onto the 1 point that you hit on your phone. Okay, so they all attack that 1 spot. That's not how I'm wanting the strategy to actually work, but it's what inspired this. Okay, and so Autobots Attack doesn't have to be Optimus Prime. It doesn't have to be this Optimus Prime. It just has to be on an Autobot leader. Okay, they do not even have to attack like charge. Just leader charge. You're just flipping them from bot mode to alt mode. When you flip, so it's probably going to, you're going to either want some battle cards that help flip your characters, or it can be the flip for turn. Okay, then you may tap up to 2 Autobot characters in alt mode you control to do 2 damage to an enemy for each character you tap. Then flip over this card. So kind of like the first variation, charge, exclamation point, you're able to get about 4 non-attack damage. Now, notice, this is for trait. And for the leader trait. I have made a battle card in the past called Floating Throne. Yeah, it may accentuate any Megatron, Beast War Megatron, G1 Megatron, pick a Megatron. But the beauty of Floating Throne is it makes anybody a leader. Let's get back to the table. So you could go something along this route with, so that would be 8, 13, 23. So you'd have a couple of stars left for your deck, but you know it just has to be an Autobot leader. So you could take him out, and it's like, well, we have a 10-star Bumblebee. Well, then you'd have to mess around with some other stuff because he's a leader. But hey, what about 6-star Jazz or 6-star Bumblebee? They're also leaders. Or you could do even better and just go with one of the patrol leaders. I've got one over here. I know I do. Or even simply a hot rod and use floating throne. Put floating throne in your deck. Make anybody a leader. Private powertrain, 5-star leader, +1 for the stratagem. So that's 4 stars left. You could actually throw in tote if you wanted to for the heck of it, or just add more stuff to your, add more stars to your deck. 15, 25, 33. These guys alone are 33 health. You know, of course, this is kind of hodgepodge and really throwing stuff together, but that's the whole point of this, is really trying to, you might have better ideas, make things tighter, thinking, maybe that's not a bad idea. And the whole point is that all you have to do is, whoever the leader is, say it's powertrain, all you have to do is flipping to trigger that stratagem, and you're like, they have to be in alt mode. So let's say Flame War is in her bot mode from a previous turn. She's going to help give everyone tough, and you tap for do 2 damage. Tap Alpha Bravo, get 2 damage. Now you have the choice of who do I want to attack with here. Let's Powertrain has more health. Let's tap him for attack. You know, just as an idea. So it's giving you a little more room. But you can't do Flame War because she's not an Autobot. This is for Autobots Attack. Okay. But your leader would need to be an Autobot. The 2 you're tapping to do non-damage attack need to be Autobots. Okay? One is just the opposite of Autobots Attack, which is Decepticons Attack. And the same thing, when you flip a Decepticon leader from bot to alt mode, is going to be able to trigger you to be able to tap 2 Decepticon characters you control in alt mode to do 2 damage to an enemy for each character you tap. Same thing. Of course, it's only going to be like a one-time thing per game, just like the other stratagem. It's not going to give anybody, any Decepticons, any extra health or anything, or stats or defense or attack. It's just for non-attack damage when the leader flips from bot mode to alt mode. Okay. When it comes to Decepticon leaders, if you're you don't have the floating throne, or you don't believe, I don't like your stuff that much, but the stratagem seems like a good idea. Well, you're going to be looking, a lot of the Decepticon leaders, or not Flame War, are going to see something, a reality here. Remember that the stratagem's 1 stars, 12 stars, 12 stars, 11 stars. A lot of the Decepticon leaders are big starred characters, except for maybe someone like, say, I don't know, Motormaster. He's a leader. So if you're not wanting to use floating throne and you're like, maybe that's a little too strong, that way you could use someone like, like I said, Motormaster. Excuse me. I don't know how. So that would be what, 6, 12, and 6 is 18, 23 stars in total, including the stratagem. You flip Motormaster from bot to alt. As long as you have 2 Decepticons in alt modes, you can, you know, let's say Rat Bat was in bot mode. You can tap Flame Ward, do 2 damage, non-attack damage, flip Kickback, 2 non-attack damage. Rat Bat and Motormaster are still untapped. You have to choose someone to tap to attack and then complete your turn, and do the battle. So there, and then you'd have to again flip over the stratagem. You can't do it again. So there's that idea, but you know, if you want to go that route and use Floating Throne in your decks, which I would highly suggest and try out, see if you like it. You can, I'm sorry, I really looked to try to find a Floating Throne that I had printed out. I can't find any. I know I've got at least 4 or 5 of them printed. You could put it on Kickback. Kickback could be a leader. And if of course, then again, the leader does not have to be tapped. It does not have to attack to trigger it. They just have to flip from bot mode to alt mode. So with the Floating Throne, Kickback could be a leader. Flame War could be a leader. Oh heavens to Marvel Comics, Rat Bat could be a leader. Thanks to the Floating Throne. How about them apples? And so all these stratagems are like one-time deals. This seems really fun. It seems to really mix things up, and it's really triggering characters with the leader trait. It is a trait-based stratagem. Is it too strong? Then again, you know, even if you're something 4 wide like this, let's take Motormaster out of his sleeve. Say he is the leader. I have flipped Motormaster from a previous turn. I don't know. Let's say we had already attacked with Motormaster. They went into Motormaster for some sort of damage. Now it's your turn. You can flip Motormaster over, tap 2 damage, tap 2 damage. You are left with only 1 character to tap and attack with for turn. So then you would be tapped out. Your opponent would have to play until they're tapped out to where you can go again. So either way, there's a little more play with Decepticons Attack and Autobots Attack than there is with Charge or Leader Charge, because you are stuck with using just... Oh, where did he go? Which way did he go? Which way did he go? 7-star Optimus Prime, SRT. From the starter, from the very first starter pack. He's not the best Prime. He's a decent Prime. With the other stratagem that I made for him, Wolf Creek Pass, I think gives him 1 to attack, 1 damage. I don't think I gave him any extra health. To where when you flip to this mode, you draw a card. You flip to this mode, you draw a card. And I believe he either has also, so every time you flip, you get to draw a card. No matter whichever way. So it's not replacing the verbiage on here, it's adding to it. So maybe that's too strong. And then you know, in bot mode he has bold 1. I think he also has bold 1 when you flip to alt mode, but I can't remember exactly. It's been a while since I played around with the game or even looked at that stratagem. So some ideas guys. And again, like Decepticons Attack or Autobots Attack, when the leader flips from bot to alt, you can tap 2 of that faction. They have to be in alt mode, up to 2 of them. Even if you tried saving the ability of the stratagem till maybe a little later in the game, if you only have, you're down to 2 characters, and one's a leader and 1 isn't, you still have to flip the leader, and you may only be able to tap 1 other character, because if you tap them both, you're going to get, 2 attack damage. But now, if you only had 2 characters left, it's your opponent's turn. You just tapped yourself out. That wouldn't be too smart, unless depending on what's going on with that depth of the game. So you just never know. And again, you flip over the card, you can't do it again. So what do you think? 4 interesting, and there's 2 different images for Decepticons Attack. One from the G1 cartoon opening, and then one that I found an image somebody drew on Facebook. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And it really seems to work for it, for the stratagem. But at the same time, I don't know who to credit the illustration for. I just sort of took it and used it. Maybe I shouldn't have. And when I went to go see who drew it, the person that put it out on Facebook, it was not their drawing. I'm like, oh, gee, they didn't draw it. So that's all I have time for right now. I need to get back to work. We'll catch you next time. What do you think? Tell me your comments down below. We'll catch you next time. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for following. So much more to come. It is the Summer of the Power Masters 2022. We'll catch you next time. And as always, flip out and keep on trucking.